By the way, just checking Twitter lately, just in case in the last second, Quentin Dormandy had announced he had transferred somewhere, and no, he has not. He actually hasn't been on his Twitter in about a month. And the last time Quentin Dormandy, the former starting quarterback at Tennessee, actually had anything to say about, or college football or something, he retweeted a tweet from Mark Richt. I can't see Dormandy transferring to Miami. I would imagine that he would want to transfer to an FCS school so he doesn't have to sit out. It's my opinion. Anyway. But I mentioned today, big game in the Southern Conference, ETSU with a victory against the lowly Citadel Bulldogs and a victory for Wofford against UNCG, who surprisingly lost to Mercer over the weekend. And ETSU clinches the Southern Conference Men's Basketball Championship outright. I don't like the phrase control your own destiny. Destiny you do not control. But they control their own path to a Southern Conference Championship. All ETSU has to do is win 2 of 3 at home this week against either the Citadel, Wofford, or Furman, and the Bucks will have the top seed in the Southern Conference tournament beginning, I guess I should say 2 weekends from now in Asheville, North Carolina. Citadel is only 9-18 on the year, 4-11 in the Southern Conference. We had Duger Bocom, late of the Tusculum Pioneers. He is the Bulldogs coach, also late of VMI. And we had him on yesterday here on Tri-City Sports Now, along with Steve Forbes. Forbes also mentioning that he had not been contacted by Ole Miss. I guess my question is, you haven't received any calls from Oxford, have you? And he, said no. Now, I guess that could mean that, an athletic director was calling him from outside of Oxford, Mississippi. But I would kind of be surprised if you would go to that angle, with the press. I really would. It would not be the first coach that would say something of that nature, but nevertheless. The Citadel, again, a homecoming for Duger Bocom. They are without Preston Parks, who was last year's freshman of the year. He quit early on in the year. He's going to transfer to UT Martin, which, to tell you the truth, I'm a little surprised on, because that really does seem to be something of a lateral move for a player who was the Southern Conference Player of the Year. I would have thought he might have even had the opportunity to move up to a bigger program, but the rules state that he cannot transfer to another SoCon school, nor can he transfer to another school in the Big South. Say what you will about that. Let's see here. We want to look at what's going on here at ETSU. Last game, I don't think they've been playing quite that well in terms of a team in their last 2 games. 10-point loss a week ago to UNCG, only had 4 assists. It was as if they got down early, and they did, and didn't know what to do. And everybody tried to take it upon themselves. And they started playing selfishly. And they lost a lopsided game. Western Carolina, I legitimately thought they were a better team than what they showed. But against Western, ETSU had 22 turnovers. Shade of the opening day 19-point loss to Northern Kentucky, in which ETSU made 20 turnovers. Okay, Steve Forbes, he'll say on the show yesterday that the Bucs are not playing selfishly. I get that. But what would you say? So it's a chance now against a team that's going to play in a zone, but they're going to have their guards come out and guard against the 3. And down in Charleston, ETSU is only 2 of 23 from outside the 3-point arc. So look at that. Also look at the fact that I am sure the Citadel is going to hack ETSU. 22 fouls in the 73-71 Bucs victory down in Charleston a month ago. That kept what many thought was going to be a lopsided game close. 21 fouls by UNCG a week ago against ETSU. That's what made the game lopsided. So look and see who is fouled. Could a Peter Jerkin decide this game on the free throw line? Possibly. Something of this nature. I do think that, yes, ETSU, which is, by the way, 23-5 overall, they do need to, make, that's going to be the key, making the free throws, if you will. So look for that as well here. Devontaeus Payne really stepped up in the game against Western last Saturday. He was the leading scorer with more than 22 points, shot 6 of 7 from the three. Perhaps that's a man that Digger Balcom is going to put a man on in shadow. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But if you're shadowing Payne, doesn't that open it up for Bradford? Doesn't that open it up for a Bo Hodges, who was the second leading scorer last week against the Western Carolina Catamounts? I leave that to you to fathom. One thing I do think, if ETSU wins this game, and there's really no reason why they shouldn't, then they clinch a tie for the Southern Conference Championship, no matter what Wofford does against UNCG. And really, it's going to take total collapse for ETSU not to win the SoCon title outright. But if they do beat the Bulldogs, then they are the SoCon, at least co-champs. They could not get the number one seed if they lost their last two games and UNCG won out. I believe then, because of tiebreakers, because of a better record against the third place team in a Southern Conference, the Spartans would have the number one seed in the Southern Conference tournament. That's the way that would work out. However, if ETSU does win, it's likely they will, then consider there'll be a ceremony at the end of the game cutting down the nets. Last year, when ETSU clinched a tie for the SoCon at Western, they had their own little ceremony in Freedom Hall, private atmosphere, cutting down the nets. Hey, you're co-SoCon champions. Beat Furman in the penultimate game of the season. You deserve it. And that supposedly inspired ETSU in the SoCon tourney. There's not going to have to be any private cutting down of the nets with a victory against the Bulldogs. You'll be able to watch it if it happens in Freedom Hall at the end of the ball game. And there's a lot of talk also that ETSU might be selling out the games this week in Freedom Hall. By the way, Freedom Hall, there's going to be some news about the future of that facility, and I will tell you all about it when we return.